Call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council, Monday, December 2nd, 2024. Please rise for the pledge.
Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Erickson, will you take roll, please?
Councilmember Chronic.
Here.
Councilmember Romanello.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Here.
Councilmember Abbott.
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Here.
Mayor LaKind.
Here.
Councilmember Kimball.
Here. All right, first up, we have disclosures of conflicts of interest. Mr. Cole, did you receive any disclosures?
Mr. Mayor, I did not.
Okay. Seeing none. We have an agenda and a consent agenda. Any modifications to the agenda? If not, look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Councilmember Abbott.
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello.
Yes. Yes.
Councilmember Chronic.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Yes.
Mayor LaKind.
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Yes.
Okay, first up, we have a recognition item for the plow personnel. Ms. Vandenhoek.
Yes, good evening, Council and Mr. Mayor. Tonight we just want to recognize some of our staff members that extra hard during the first snow event that we had in November. During November 5th through 9th, our plow personnel and all of our public safety team work extra hard to make sure that our roads are safe for our community. Our police officers and our public works team all work really hard to make sure that our roads are clear and that our community is kept safe. For our plow teams, this means working 12-hour shifts around the clock in order to make sure that they can keep up with the over 20 inches of snow that we received during that storm. So Tom Tharnish is going to take a few minutes to recognize some of the members of our team that worked during that storm.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Town Council. I'm up here today to talk a little bit about recognizing our two snowplow teams that handle all the town snow events. As you remember, from November 5th through the 9th, we had our first big storm in the area where we received over, I say 21, I think you mentioned 24 maybe. Depends which drift you look at and all that. Over a 4 to 5 day period. The two crews logged more than 530 hours combined among all personnel to keep our roads in a safe condition for both emergency vehicles such as police and fire, and for our citizens who need to travel during those times. The town will typically get these large storms during winter. They go on for days. A lot of prep work goes on before the storm, and then just before the storm arrives, we break our crews into two shifts, one for daytime operations and one for nighttime operations. During that time, they have radios, so they're in contact with the police at any given moment to clear up problem areas in that fashion. The hard work that the crews perform shows in their dedication to ensuring the roads are in decent shape and police to ensure quick response when called upon. And I'd like to present them with some certificates. And in addition, we have some gift bags.
Thought those were early Christmas gifts for the
Tristan Pyle. Michael Spencer. And Gabriel Martinez. Now, there are other team members that are not present tonight due to various issues going on. We will catch up with them as soon as they come back to work. So first thing I'm going to hand out is the certificates. Early Christmas. Yeah, they're all. Sorry about the folders. I had to scratch. And not appropriate. We have 5 of our 9 operators here. And been around here long enough to know that this is not our worst storm we've ever had, but it's definitely a big enough one that calls up both crews for that many days. So, work a lot of hard hours, try to make them comfortable, bring them food here and there, just to keep their mind occupied. We show a little bit of applause and
Wow.
I do have a question. Did anybody throw any brooms at you guys this time?
Yeah, maybe. I got some choice words.
You guys have choice word?
I'm especially grateful that you didn't bury my sidewalks.
This was his first snowstorm, by the way.
Matt's first snowstorm.
Okay, well, thank you again for all the hard work you guys do. I know that many people appreciate it. I saw a lot of online kudos, hardly anybody complaining, except for those that are in the county. Especially the secondary roads that did not get done. Some bus routes didn't get done. In fact, literacy night at D38, where I was reading to some students, some 3rd and 4th graders, a 5th grader approached me to let me know that he wanted Monument to start doing his roads because his bus route did not get taken care of in Woodmore. And so I'm still waiting for the email from him to advocate county commissioner that the bus routes need to be done. But yeah, the kids couldn't go to school. They had no way of getting on the bus. And wow.
I think it shows where Town of Monument is plowing and where county is not. It's blatantly obvious. So thank you.
All right, next up, we have Resolution 55-2024, resolution approving the preliminary and final plat subdivision for Jackson Creek North, PMD filing 1. Mr. Ungerleider.
It's a approximately 25 and a half acre property located at the southeast corner of Higbee and Bowstring Roads. Purpose of the plat is to prepare the property for sale and development by a future purchaser. to dedicate 30 feet of additional public right-of-way to the town for Higbee Road public road improvements, and to dedicate 2 tracts of land to the Tri-View Metropolitan District for open space and detention. Just so everyone here is familiar with the zoning and the land uses of the property. The high school, this property is actually zoned Regency Park planned multi-use development. To the north is the Lewis Palmer High School. Yes, sir. I did, but it might be that I'm doing it wrong. There you go. Apologize for that. It's very pretty picture, so I'm going to skip the pretty ones and get to the work here. So there's the actual property and covering the introduction. Very good. Apologize. So this is a picture of our zoning map. The property is zoned PMD plan multi-use development district. To the north is a Lewis Palmer High School located on unincorporated El Paso County. To the south is Jackson Creek North filing number 3, zoned RP PRD 6 planned residential development for single family. To the east is a vacant piece of property in the PRD 20 planned residential district multifamily. And to the west is the zone planned commercial development district. Okay. Future land use map designates this property for mixed use, parks, trails, and open space. This is the image of the final plat. Hopefully you have a clearer picture on your screens in front of you than what's up on the big screens. But the final plat, as I noted before, creates public right-of-way, 30 feet additional public right-of-way along Higbee Road. It creates a just under a 18-acre lot number 1 for development. Tract A and Tract B are those properties that we've dedicated to the Tri-View Metropolitan District for open space and for stormwater management. The Plan Commission held their initial public hearing on October 9th, 2024. After considerable discussion, the Plan Commission continued the public hearing to November 13th, requesting staff to confirm that the expanded Higbee Road right-of-way would accommodate the proposed Higbee Road improvements. We came back, the meeting was continued to November 13th, where we came back and staff confirmed with the concurrence of the town's public works director, town's consulting engineer, and the Tri-View Metropolitan District and engineering design engineer that the upcoming Higbee Road improvements would be accommodated by the plat's 30-foot public right-of-way dedication, resulting with a total right-of-way width of 100 feet on Higbee Road. The image in front of you shows the total new and existing right-of-way at 100 feet in width. At the conclusion of the November 13th public hearing, the Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the applicant's request of the preliminary and final plat for Jackson Creek North PMD filing number 1, based on the findings of fact outlined in the staff report dated October 9th, 20. So what we're asking for tonight is a motion to approve a resolution number 55, 2024, a resolution approving the preliminary and final plat of subdivision for Jackson Creek North PMD filing number 1. And that concludes my report tonight.
Any questions for staff from the council?
Sure. Before you take off, can you go back to slide 7?
Okay. Note to self, do not close laptop during the presentation.
Sorry.
No. Now I'm having problems. You're looking for the right of way for Higby Road.
Correct.
Bridge.
By the way, some of your slides indicated Higby Road was called Jackson Creek Parkway.
Okay. Right. Not letting me. Oh, yeah. Not letting me get back into it.
In the meeting.
There we go. Present. Thank you, Will. That's the one you're looking for.
Right. So this is the only road design that we have to work off of currently because we don't have a road design for this yet. Is that correct?
My understanding is I don't have any kind of a formal application for the road at this time. I've seen drafts and working documents that are being passed between the engineer for the property and TriView.
Because it's hard for me to tell exactly, but when I look at this roundabout, it's encroaching into El Paso County land on the north, which means it needs to come to the south, which means it's going to change the property lines of this plat that we're supposed to approve. And I don't know how we do that without a road design. TriView was supposed to come and present to us, I thought by now, but
You're referencing the curves of the roundabout.
right. So that entire roundabout needs to shift south, which changes the property lines. We need to somehow establish what that road design is going to be before we can establish a plat, I would think. Would that be correct, Mr. Cole?
Current requirements require all of the improvements to be within the town's boundaries.
Right.
And to that point, since it's shifting, wouldn't the right of way be required to be deeded to the town?
And owned by the town. Yes, that's correct.
So do we have deeds yet for the road as it's shifted?
Well, we have the additional 30 feet of right of way that would be dedicated once this plat of subdivision were recorded.
So that will be owned by the town then. But what do we do about that corner? We don't know how this is going to be designed.
It's really two corners technically. It's those two.
Yeah, the northeast and
Yeah.
the northwest.
Yep. Because if I understand it, that road begins where it goes north, right? It's not the curve, right? It's the curve is supposed to be in town boundaries, and then El Paso County begins, correct?
Yeah, everything needs to be within a monument. I think we need the road design. At least the roundabout.
But what's been up with the communication with TriView? Because I remember Jim saying that it was being worked on and he would be presenting it after the last time we met about this.
So, town manager is requested that Jim appear before you to give you an update on the road improvement design and process. I think we're still waiting to hear back from Mr. McGrady to have that meeting. Apologize for talking. I know you're a little out of voice tonight, so. So we're still waiting for that meeting with Mr. McGrady to come before you and give you an update, and then we would coordinate as well with our engineer at that meeting to just confirm the information that's being presented to you.
Well, I think we need the road design before we can approve a plat. I would think we would need to continue this until that time.
Anybody else from the council have any comments or input?
I have another question other than the road. Not to distract you, get away from it, but in the staff report, page 8, exhibit 4, draft findings of fact. Number 6 states, other than dedicating an easement for wetland drainage and creating 2 tracks containing open space and detention, the proposed final plat for vacant property does not address protection from fire, flood, geologic hazards, etc., as required in 18.02.260.c. Is that not a concern, or especially when we're talking about the drainage / flooding mitigation?
That's not a concern because the property is going to remain undeveloped until a proposal is brought before the town. So it's going to remain in the same condition that it is today. So for a vacant piece of property, there is no concern. It's surrounded on all sides by public roads with full access. That finding was placed in there to note that there's more work to be done as we see a development proposal.
And remind me, you said tract A and B are going to Triview, correct?
That's correct.
And lot 1 is going to be the piece that's going to be developed.
That's the way it's been portrayed and envisioned for the
Okay.
site. Yes.
And this portion is to approve the plat at this design. And then theoretically, once this gets approved or whatever, then we'll get an idea. Then the developer comes to the town on what goes on lot 1, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. I'm good with continuing. I agree with Steve King that we really need the design of the road to figure out the northeast and northwest corners of the roundabout. Because it can't spill over into county property.
Right, and we don't want to have to come back later and have to deal with this. Let's just get it right.
Yeah, I'm in favor of doing it right the first time.
Mr.
What-
Mayor? I'm fine with the discussion, but I think you'll want to give the applicant an opportunity to respond to this concern before you would take any action to continue.
So do we not have to open it up?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay. So the applicant like to address the concerns about the road design?
Hi, Rob Oldak of CSI Development. I'll just try to speak directly to what I know about the question about plans. Because, we're the property owner trying to plat this property now for, I believe it was 20 months ago, we had our pre-app. We've worked very closely with Triview through issues that many of you are aware of. the little sliver that you're talking about there is evidenced by at least an easement that appears on the construction drawings I've seen. I don't know if you want to review 85 sheets of construction drawings, but my understanding is that the town's engineers have had those for some time. Can't confirm how long. Go back and forth with Mr. McGrady and the engineers. I'm told that those plans have been with the town for review for some time. And it is a complete set of drawings. It's 85 sheets of civil drawings. The sliver that you asked about at that corner, you can see on our screens that there's an easement for that, but to whom the easement is dedicated and for what purpose, I'm unsure. I've not seen an actual easement or deed for that. I think you all know it's TriView's responsibility to design and construct the road. So we're just providing some input based on what we know here.
And we appreciate that. I wish TriView was here, because then they could have presented everything already in the packet.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Okay, well, this is a public hearing item, so you want to say something, sir? If you could let us know who you are.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my name is Steve Mulliken. I'm a local attorney and represent the applicant. And we also have with us Jeff Hodgson, who is the traffic engineer. I think he can confirm that there is an easement for that. And I'd like to make just one other comment, or a couple other quick comments. Your planning director, Dan, has been very professional to deal with. I wanted to personally point that out to the town council. He's been very professional. He knows his business, I think, and he is very respectful. He protects the town, but also listens and works with applicants. So I personally want to say we appreciate that. And I know he's relatively new here, and I think you picked a good man. So, well, you're welcome. And I mean that very sincerely. The second thing is, I just want you to realize the applicant went to their first pre-app, in February of 2023. It's been almost 2 years now. Was asked to take a time out, or kind of imposed to consider additional right-of-way for Higbee Road. It took that time out, conceded to that. I assume that TriView, who's responsible for the road construction and the road design, was part of that process. I'm sure, were noticed to this meeting tonight. They do not object to it, so they must think the design is okay. As part of the planning process, our client will dedicate that right away to the town, so you will own it. That's how we get it to you, and we can't get it to you until we actually have an approved plat, and then we can record it. So time is money, and when you're in the development business, you try to move things along. It always goes longer than you want to, but almost 2 years. A preliminary and final plat is a fairly technical aspect of the planning process, separate from zone changes and those types of things. We've met all technical requirements. We were given a checklist, and I think the staff has recognized that. So we would ask that we be approved tonight. One thing you really have going for you here is, unlike in many situations where you have a developer that comes to town and finds out Monument's a great place, they're going to come in here, develop property, make a quick buck and leave. These are responsible long-term developers. They're going to be before you many times in the future, but it would be very helpful to them to get the plat approved so they can move down the road. So I'd ask you to consider that, especially since Monument was given notice and didn't show up. So they must think this is fine and they don't need anything further from our client. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I appreciate you giving me a few minutes to talk to you tonight.
Okay, so we will open it up to the public. If there's anybody here who would like to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing none, move to online. Will, do we have anybody online?
No one online here.
Okay. Then I will close out that section of the public. Sorry?
With the Triview not being here, they're kind of acknowledging they're okay. If you are that concerned about it, my client's willing to say, you please approve us with conditional approval to revisit that right-of-way issue should it come up, but we don't think it will because we think the final design is really, really there. But we'd appreciate that consideration if it's really a big issue. Thank you.
If we're discussing on,
Yeah, I'm bringing it back to the
Okay.
council for further discussion.
go ahead, Santa. Gonna say something.
Oh, you're good. Is it possible to table this further down and maybe see some of the images? You said there was 85 pages of, I mean, is it online somewhere that we could look at in the meeting, like later and give them time to do that, if that's an option, I don't know. And pro tem, if you're not happy with that, that's
Dan,
fine.
Do you have the actual finalized road design from Triview Metro District?
So the set that I have in my file is dated, no, I'm saying September 27th. I don't know if that's the most recent document or not. And I'm certainly not an engineer, so I wouldn't want to sit here and try to translate what I'm looking at to you. But yeah, I do have the documents, but I think an engineer would probably be more equipped to walk you through something like that. Or better yet, an engineer can come and let you know that it's been taken care of.
Well, so from a process perspective, who is the final authority on the road design approval?
It's well, that would be a question that I would ask our attorney, probably after some conversation, but it's the town's public right of way. There are public improvements within the town's public right of way. So ultimately, I believe we have the permitting authority or the oversight on that design. And we should be working directly with Triview, who would be constructing that on our behalf and then maintaining it over time.
But so you have not signed off and given a blessing that the entire road is in the town of Monuments limits yet?
No, they have not. And as I said, the copy that I received and forwarded to our consulting engineer, Jacobs Engineering, received it at the end of September. But it was a working document, and I don't believe the conversations have gone any further.
Does Triview and Jacobs realize that their delays can cause further delays for the applicant?
Well, I can't answer that. I can tell you that Jacobs works for us, and they're not causing any delay. That's it. That's not Jacobs is reading the map, the plans on my behalf, which is of course on behalf of the town.
So when, and this isn't really a question, I don't have a question for you if you want to sit down. But last summer, when these conversations opened and Triview came in here trying to use easements for the right of way and go into the school parking lot. And we were pretty clear at that point that our code states that all right of ways need to be within the town limits and owned by the town, and the right of way can't be an easement. So that's what we have to work off of. And the only design that I see is this one that we have before us, which clearly encroaches into El Paso County. And I don't know how they changed that roundabout to make this work. I'm sure they can. I just don't know how they would do it. But it seems like it would have to go south, which changes the property line on this particular property. I don't have a problem with the plat in general. I just don't want to have to go back later at some date and have to arm wrestle over where this property line ends up personally.
And that's also my concern is, let's say that everything moves 10 feet south, right?
Right.
Well, that 30-foot, everything moves south. So that's my concern, is if that happens, what happens to the plat and how will that affect you?
Well, the 30 foot stays where it's at. It's the corner that would have to be changed.
My concern is in order to move the corner, do they have to move? I don't know. I don't
Well,
design
we're
it,
not, yeah, we're not engineers.
right?
But we don't have
So-
anything to look at.
And so if more than just the roundabout has to move south, that affects, in my pea brain, that affects the 30-foot right of way. Maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
It
Triview was supposed to bring us back some plans. We just haven't seen anything. I have no idea where this is at.
I think you're hearing that we want to see final plans from Triview that have been approved by an engineer that state all property lines are in the town of Monument. And I don't know about how those corners get worked out. I'm sure there must be some kind of code that they run off of that says this is where the roundabout needs to be in order to be fully in the town of Monument before the road starts heading up there to the north and it becomes straight. But we need something from, well, I assume Jacobs and Triview that says this is what it's going to look like. Here's the pictures, here's the property lines, here's the right of way, here's the easements. We're not encroaching on those kind of things. And then they're going to have to adjust.
Also, Mayor and Council, I will work with PSI, and try to get Triview's representation here. I'll also make sure that we invite Jacobs Engineering to be here as well to provide support, provide you support, and hopefully confirm that this has been addressed in another forum. But glad to do that for you.
question to the council and to Dan. If we approve this with condition, how would we set the condition to where the easement, if the easement, like, how would that condition be worded to where it doesn't affect the developer, but it keeps the town's concerns forefront? How we would go about?
It's probably a question for Mr. Cole, if that's even something
Yeah.
we can do.
I have some serious concerns about that approach because until you have a road design, you don't know how it affects anything else. And so to try to approve something conditioned on a final road design, you're presuming it's not going to have other impacts. I would certainly hope that's the case, but you don't have it in hand. So I think that's a little,
It could potentially overcomplicate the issue.
absolutely.
Okay. Because I want to get to a yes or to a motion, but if it potentially goes sideways for the developer or for us or for both, I'm not keen on that. Because then we go back to, duct tape, glue, and string
Failing away.
failing out.
Bailing wire.
Right.
I echo Marco that I want to get to a yes also. I mean, this has been, to their statement, this has been going on for a while, and they did come to the table with the 100-foot right of way as we had asked. So I just want to clarify a couple of things. Mr. Cole, what you're saying is that we absolutely cannot. Correct.
That is a town code requirement.
Okay. My second thing is about Triview and the road development. I mean, this is a road developed within the town of Monument, and it is in Triview, but I mean, we are the ones that, approve this. So what kind of leverage do we have with Triview to just get this handled? I mean, what's going on there?
We've reached out to.
And
They were
not
here.
online.
They were here and they heard us say, we need the road design. that was how long ago? Summer?
Off automatically, doesn't it? I guess what I'm saying then is, in this kind of situation, what, Mr. Cole, what, if we're not getting a response, what's the next step?
Well, you need a road design, approve the road. And if anyone can provide you a road design, then you could review it and make a determination based on that. Doesn't necessarily have to be Triview.
What is your response to their attorney? We haven't closed. Well, let me finish my statement and then address the mayor on that, please. What is your response, Mr. Cole, to their attorney's comment on Triview's absence is an approval? I had to ask because I do pay attention to details. All right, so I think we have a question from the applicant.
Brett Ben, Q-Sys High Development. Good evening. Just looking back at a couple of emails between Kimley Horn and what they forwarded to us that said that was provided to the town. It looks like on May 22nd, a roll of plans. And then again on, I believe it looks like in September, the date that he sent it to me was October 3rd and provided the town 2 weeks ago was that complete set of plans. So I'm not sure that if it, it's under review by Jacobs, but maybe it hasn't been provided to everybody else, but it's been being worked on for 6+ months at a 95% set of drawings. And so there's comments that have gone back and forth between Jacobs, but we haven't seen those comments. I'm not sure where those might be.
The first engineering firm, I assume that's the engineering firm for Triview
Kimley Horn's the engineering firm for Triview.
for the road. And they're
Yeah.
sending it to the town and to Jacobs.
That's my understanding.
for their review.
Yep.
So potentially we have not we, but the town. Is there a way that we can?
You want to continue just till the next meeting?
To the 16th?
I think we should be as aggressive as possible, but also not waste their time as well. So I agree with that. Do you feel realistically that you can get your answers and results from Jacobs? And do you guys think that we can put enough pressure on Triview to get something?
Even if they did, I'm just concerned that if the roadway plan comes in, if you've seen something going back and forth since October, my question to you is, did it require you to cause a shift in your plat? Not an inch?
Well, are they assuming that they're going to use this easement to the north?
And
That would be my question.
no one requested that of us. There's an easement shown that's on the document. Whether that exists or that's a proposed, I'm not sure. If that right of way, or if it does need to shift, it's a matter of 8 to 10 feet maybe at that roundabout location.
How long would
But
how long would it take you to adjust your drawing of the plat? If they come back in a week, we continue this for 2 weeks and they come back next week and say, yes, it's a shift. Does that give you enough time to replat and be ready for the next meeting?
If it requires that, then
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If it required it.
yeah.
Okay. So you're going to hook it with a mouse and just drag it, right? On the drawing or something?
Because we don't want to waste your time, but if we can get this squared by the 16th,
Lovely.
Yeah.
Right.
It's realistic though.
yeah, is it
Well, it might not be realistic, but we can continue it like Dan said, right? We can try and he can let us know and we'll continue it again if we have to.
Okay. They are getting right away.
They've been actually very cooperative in the admission process thus far.
Totally recognize.
Totally
what
want to
they're-
acknowledge
what they're
that,
doing.
100%.
I get it.
Yes.
I just would like, the road thing wrapped up so that we can proceed with what they're trying to get accomplished.
We'll do our best to coordinate.
And Jacobs, because they're the,
They work for us. I will ask them to be. here.
okay, yeah.
Yeah. You'll
Because
you'll tell them to be here.
'Cause
Okay, good.
This is not going to be this is not going to be the last development that touches Higbee. So if we can get this right, that's what I'm saying. It's not the last one. So this, if we can put this to bed, then all the other developments are good to go from an easement standpoint.
Well, it's not an easement, so let's just be clear.
The right of way.
Okay, then I'll just make a motion that we continue this resolution 55-2024 to the next upcoming meeting, the 16th, December 16th.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanella,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 7-0 to continue to 12/16. Let's all work together so we have a happy holiday. And I'm really sorry. I just want to make sure we get this done right. All right, next up is Resolution 56-2024, resolution adopting a restated budget for the purpose set forth below for the town of Monument, Colorado, beginning on the first day of January 2024 and ending on the last day of December 2024. Ms. Phillips, welcome.
All set? All right. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council. My name is Jennifer Phillips. I'm your new Finance Director. Happy to be here tonight. Thank you very much. We have a couple orders of business tonight. So I'm going to start with the first one. I do also want to acknowledge the Brain Trust that's sitting right here with me and thank them for 6 months of Lori and Steve for 6 months of just tremendously hard work. I wouldn't be standing here and being able to present this to you much to them. And also, if I have more detailed questions, I may be doing this. So bear with me. And the department heads are also here. They know their budgets if you have specific questions about a department budget. I'm going to start with the amended budget for 2024. Maybe. Got no movement. Any ideas, Will? Nope.
Yeah, we see the amended.
I got no movement. Again.
while we're waiting, it's 7-7. Whoever they're playing.
You may have to just do it this way. Maybe a little.
Where are they playing?
I don't, doesn't rounds?
Okay.
Wow. Peanut gallery out there.
7-7, just got the ball back. 33.
Okay.
First and 10.
Oh,
You
okay.
may have to click on
You gotta
here.
refresh
Know
it.
for sure what's going on because I lost.
Again?
Will they get a current score?
Oh, I have to
To get a current
The
score.
woman's watching the game. She's telling me.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to have to do a little old fashioned way here. I'm going to do it from, rather than from presentation, just from working mode, but then I'll be able to change the slides. So first off is the amended 2024 budget. This was presented to you on November 4th and in detail. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But this requires 2 resolutions, and this is also a public hearing, Mayor.
Okay, so these are the numbers, the restated budget on the right side.
Correct.
You all have had time to review these. Any questions or comments for staff on the change of the numbers? I mean, it looks like for the most part, they're all lower, and lower is good. If not, we will open the public hearing. If there's anybody in the public that would like to speak to that's restated budget. Seeing none, and there's no one online. So we will bring it back to council for further comment or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 56, 2024. A resolution adopting a restated budget for the purpose set forth below for the town of Monument, Colorado, beginning on the first day of January 2024 and ending on the last day of December 2024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Councilmember Fiorito,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Phillips, if you'd like to walk us through 57, 2024, the next one?
It's. Yes,
Or is
It's-
are they they're
they're-
tied together?
they're together.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve. Wait, it's open session, isn't it?
This
No,
one
it's
is.
not a public.
Okay,
hearing.
all right. I make a motion to approve resolution number 57-2024. Resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds in the amounts set forth below for the town of Monument, Colorado, beginning on the first day of January 2024 and ending on the last day of December 2024.
Second.
Motion and a very strong second.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Next one up is resolution 58, 2024. This one is our budget for 2025.
Yes, and I have a lengthy presentation for you. So this is to approve the 25 budget, which begins on January 1st and ends on December 31st of 2025. And so what I'm going to, I have to remember to do this. So just to kind of an overview of what I want to discuss this evening, I want to discuss a little bit the process that the staff went through. Obviously, I've only been here a month, but a lot of things happened before I got here. I want to review the assumptions that were made for this budget for revenues and expenses. I'm going to go over the funds. You had fund information in significant detail over several meetings, but you asked for some more detail with the general fund, so I'm going to be presenting that for you. And then there's also a capital projects plan. And so what we're asking of you tonight is to adopt both this final proposed budget as well as the capital projects plan for 2025 through 2029. And I'll be going through that as well. Okay, so the budget process, budget preparations began in March of 24. So much earlier in the year, discussions start at the staff level. So this is a thoughtful process where departments work with the finance department and go through their budgets and start to put their budgets together for the year. The proposed budget was presented to the council on several occasions. You see the dates, July 15th, August 5th, September 3rd, September 16th. On November 4th, a final proposed budget was presented to you. And tonight is the request of that final proposed budget for adoption.
Okay. Pages packet 2025 capital projects. That's what we're talking about right now.
No, we're talking about the budget.
Oh, the regular budget.
And then the capital projects will come at the end of my presentation.
Questions about, aside from the big red number, that a negative 6.389 million
I don't know where you're at, but can I,
on the general fund summary?
well, I'm just, do you not want me to go through all the slides or?
Oh, I thought you stopped. Sorry.
No. No worries. So the final proposed budget, some assumption revenues, and again, you've seen these all before, so I've just listed them for you as a reminder. I'm not going to list each one, but I just want to make sure that we continue to share the same information so you know what's going on with your budget. This is the same for expenditures, so you can see the increases that were assumed as part of the increases for the 2025 budget. One thing I did want to point out is there was one executive level position that's been eliminated from the budget. And right now we have 4 vacant administrative positions. They are funded in this budget, but they're frozen. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But I wanted to highlight those things because we need to start to make some decisions about especially the general fund budget.
And I'm sorry, do you have different slides or is this the slide? There you go. Never mind. Thank you.
So this is the slide that tells you why we need to start to look at some different strategies for 2025. Our general fund revenues are about $11.6 million, and this is how they're broken out. And your expenditures, our expenditures are at almost 15.5 million. And so as we go through this presentation, it's very important for me that you all keep in mind that this is not sustainable. So we used some one-time monies from reserves to balance this budget. This budget is perfectly legal and it is balanced, but again, it is not sustainable. And so that's why I wanted to point out the fact that there are 4 positions that are funded through this budget, but right now are frozen, and discussions need to happen from an operations standpoint with the town manager on what can and can't be afforded for 2025. So that's just a really important slide. You can see the difference between what we're bringing in and what we're spending. Okay, and general fund reserves. This was also a discussion that you had on November 4th. You can see that the adoption of this budget will leave us at just about the 13.37% of the general fund budget as we have in reserves. Again, recommendations are generally 15 to 20%. There was some discussion by the council. How do we get to 15 to 20%? Well, first of all, we have to balance and we have to spend what we're bringing in revenues and not more. But then also looking at the opportunity for some savings. I do believe that the amended budget, because we didn't make adjustments to the revenues, I do believe that there will be some excess revenues that will help that fund balance as we begin 2025. But my recommendation to the town manager and to this town council is that we bring an amended budget back to you probably in May or June, because again, this isn't a sustainable plan, a financial plan. But we have a lot of work to do until then. Normally you would see November like you did this year, but I think that we need to do something halfway through the year to get a better handle on our finances. Okay, so the proposed general fund budget, this is now broken out. So in prior presentations, you saw a general fund budget at a high level, And so one of your requests was to be able to see a little bit more detail. And so this is your general fund budget by department. And so I'm going to zip through these relatively quickly because you've had them in advance. We sent them out actually well before the packet. But if you have any questions of each of the departments, I can try to answer them, or my esteemed colleagues here or in the back can help if you have specific questions. One thing that I did want to point out is the transfer from the general fund. I starred this. You can see that that is no longer occurring in 2025. And I have some very specific slides for PD that will make it very clear on what your PD budget is. But I just wanted to point that out for the general fund budget. So if it's all right with the council, I'm just going to move through these and wait for you to have some questions. Here's your finance department. It's a fabulous department, by the way. I mentioned that. Here's the court budget, your human resources department. I have to do this all by clicking on the little, I'm going to make these a little bit bigger. This is your information technology planning department. Here is the police department. Okay, I'd like to stop and take a little bit of time here. It's very important to see there were some discussions about whether the police department had lost funding or not. And so I've put these slides together to make it very clear that you can see in the 2025 budget, your budget for the police department has gone up significantly to $6.4 million. So that's a $1.4 million increase or a $1.3 million increase from the prior year. So you are investing per your direction to staff. You are investing in your police department. So the next slide I want to show you is how that's broken out with the different funding, because I think that's where some of the questions were coming into play. I got to find my place now. So this is the general fund budget. So this is how, let me make sure I have this right. Okay, yeah. So this is a general fund budget. So normally when you have a measure, and this is absolutely the correct thing to do when you have a special measure, it should be in a separate fund. And so one of the things I'd like to work with the police chief on is having a little bit more transparent reporting on this F2 budget, because I think that it's important for the citizens and the voters to see this is what you voted for and this is how we're spending your money. So I was very pleased that this had already happened prior to my arrival. And so you can see now that the general fund is directly paying for the police department out of the general fund. So you see the transfers, and now you see the PD budget. So then in the next slide then is the 2F. And this will be separate, always moving forward. So it looks like the budget's been reduced, but it hasn't, because now you're seeing only what's coming from the 2F proposition. And so again, just to make it perfectly clear, here is your full budget for the police department, the $6.4 million. So I hope that's especially clear. This is Public Works and the town clerk, and then the town council. One of the questions you had at the November 4th meeting was how the community sponsorships are being spent. And so that was also provided to you ahead of time, but I wanted to list it here because it was important to you to know how those monies are being spent and to whom and how much. Okay, now comes the water fund budget. So there was some confusion with this budget as well. And so one of the things I want to try to walk you through, and it took me a little bit of time and we worked really hard on this, was to understand what happened with regards to the fund balance. So from a very basic perspective is one of the things that happened is net position for this fund got mixed up with budgeting. And they're two very different animals, and yet they're interlinked. And so one of the reasons this happened, and if you had the chance to read about the capital projects program, is the COP bonds should have been budgeted in a capital projects budget. So the confusion happened because they were budgeted in. And so I know this is very small, and it's even smaller because we can't do the bigger thing. I can, it's not moving it. That's why I'm in this working mode. I wish I could. Do you want me to try again, or no? We'll just leave it. I don't. No, I don't want to. It's all right. I won't mess with it. Okay, so one of the things, it's blurry for me too. One of the things that I want to point out, so when you look at, and I put this in, this is 2020 through 2025. And
Okay.
we're good. Because I wanted you to be able to see the $20 million COP that came into the budget. That was really important to me. And that's why this one's a little bit smaller, because I wanted you to be able to see the money coming in and that it's been actually spent. And so when you look at 2021, the certificate of occupancy, the certificate of participation occurred in 2020. The monies came in 2021. So you can see under ending fund balance, the ending fund balance is $21 million. So you can see the $20 million come in. What's important to be able to see when this was presented is money. So if you look under capital outlay in the budget, you will see there's $5.5 million. There's $10.7 million as expenditures because the $20 million has been spent. So this is the budget portion. So let me show you the net position slide. And I tried to do some highlights that might be helpful. So when you look now at capital outlay in the olive green, did I do that? Okay. So in the olive green, you will see again under capital outlay, I just pointed out that there was significant money spent, and yet in the net position, those monies have been taken out. That's the challenge, right, that happened when we had the audit and staff just tried to figure out what the balance was going to be with the ending fund balance. So the monies are fully accounted for. The auditors then, because this was budgeted in an operating budget, the auditors then move that money into a separate account so it can then be accounted for and depreciated. And so what you'll see is we don't budget for depreciation, right? So there's a depreciation cost that you can see that I also highlighted, the 727 and the 823, but those aren't expenses. We don't cut a check for that. And so that's where the confusion came about. And so the most important number here is we wanted to talk about the fund balance. And so staff had said through the audit that $15 million had been made available or found. And it's not that it was found, it's that the net position still identifies the fact that we have $20 million that we spent that's being accounted for in the net position of the water fund, but it's not budgeted. So those monies are no longer available. Hold on, my slides got messed up.
So
So-
you're saying that 2 weeks ago, we thought we had $15 million, and now you're saying we don't.
Correct. The value is there because the value in the COP is there and it will be depreciated over time, but it was never cash. So again, it's the accounting part of the world with the budgeting part of the world and trying to make those two mesh. And there are ties, but in this case, the first thing that should have started in 2021 was a capital projects budget. And so that's one of the things we're going to fix this year. And then this confusion hopefully won't happen in the future. So you're right now, the water fund is expected to have $6.5 million at the end of 2025. Because so much effort was put behind doing all the projects for the $20 million COP, then the excess revenue that came in through the water fund that would have normally gone to projects was able to accumulate a little bit. And so there are funds available. Clear as mud. All right. That's the water fund. All right. So then this is the 2A water fund. The biggest difference that you'll notice from your presentation on November 4th is an additional $2 million was placed for water rights at your direction. And so this fund balance is lower than the budget that was presented to you on November 4th. This is the capital projects budget or the fund. And so I'll zip through these because they haven't changed from when you saw them before. Really hard with the mouse. Oh, thank you. Storm drain. So the thing you'll notice here is the movement of the ARPA money. So that will come to you next at your next meeting to be able to appropriate that. And so we have it coming in 25 and we have it being spent in 25. So that you'll notice that difference. This is the park impact. One of the things I'd just like to point out, and this will be something that we'll talk about at a staff level, and I would bring back to you as a mid-year budget amendment or adjustment, is with all the projects that have been identified, and this was another thing that you asked for, was to be clear on what projects, and you'll see them at the bottom here. There's a list that with all of these projects, you're leaving a fund balance of about a little less than $4,000. And so again, that's a good conversation to have, whether these projects are very important for 2025 or you would like to leave some monies in the fund balance. Those will be things that will be brought to you for your consideration and direction. Okay, now I'm so big I can't see the thing. There's traffic impact. Are you moving it or am I? Okay. I think we're playing against each other. Next one. Conservation Trust Fund. Next one. Okay, so that's your 2025 operating budget. I can stop here if you have any questions. And we really appreciate your understanding on the water fund.
I don't know that we are understanding. That's a huge disappointment to hear that went down. I wonder how we pass the audit. I continue to wonder every year when mistakes are caught at the end of the year and we restate things, how we pass our audits. We're changing companies this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yes, we have an RFP out. This was not, so the audit is correct. This was an interpretation of data. And so it's from a staff standpoint of how do we interpret data and trying to use the audit to the best of our ability and then misinterpreting some data. So the audit is correct. The audit is solid. What I'm presenting to you tonight from a budgeting standpoint is solid. I'm just trying to show you the difference and why the misunderstanding happened.
Let me try to restate what you're saying to make sure I understand it. With regard to the water money, the 18 versus 6 million, just to make it easy. Okay. The 18 million was in the audit monies that I guess we did have and has been used or depreciated over time, but was never accounted for in an accounting process. No?
No.
Okay. Has anybody, just so I know, because, easy, bottom line is bottom line. Has somebody actually looked at a bank account and just verified their $6.5 million? Do we have that? Is it somewhere?
Yes. Yes. And I also reviewed the expenses for the 20. Uh-oh. Something's happening. Thank you. I also reviewed the expenses that the $20 million have been spent. That's been very carefully accounted for.
Okay.
So, and to the best of our ability, that's why I'm qualifying my budget a bit. It is legal, it is balanced. The council may and can adopt it, but since I'm new, I can't say that I'm absolutely certain that everything is absolutely correct.
Well, let me say this then up front, because this is what I wanted to start with, and I forgot. I do want to say that I love your approach. So let's just start there. I love your approach.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank the rest of the finance staff for all that you guys have done in light of the drama that ensued in your department.
Yes.
That's a big deal. And we've all been through that. Anyone that's worked for anybody, whether it's a municipality or private company, has all been through that. Thank you. Okay. Now, somebody in staff can pull up an account that will show me $6.5 million in the bank for water. Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. So then I do understand a bit about the accounting process. I am an investment advisor, but investment advisors and accountants have totally different brains and
Yes.
mindsets. And I am not an accountant. Okay. So we don't need to go through the minutia about all this because some of us will get it and some of us won't. So it's what I said is not correct. It wasn't that there was an $18 million number that wasn't properly accounted for, depreciated. I think that we had that money.
So when you look at an audit, there is net position. So the audit is telling you from the water fund, it's looking at it from a different lens. Again, it's moved those expenses over because it wants to show you value of the $20 million that you borrowed. So they don't just go away. That's why a capital budget's so important, separate from an operating budget.
All right.
Right? And so each year, so that's in 2021, that's why I wanted to show you the slides where you can see the expenses in the budget. I think it was 5.7 million, can't remember. So it's in the budget, but then when you go to the net position and you look at that in the audit, those expenses are not there because they've been moved out. And you can see in the accounting system, you can see the auditors move that money from the operating account into a separate account. They've done it every year. Everything's been done correctly. It's just when staff, right, went to look, and this is not their fault by any means. How do we figure out a fund balance? What was the prior year fund balance? Hey, let's look at the audit because the audit is an audit. It's right. You trust the auditors. And there was just confusion between what net position meant and what fund balance meant.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So so we put $2.5 million for water rights. And we did that because we need them for one thing, but we also did it because we thought we had extra money. So that 2.5 million and that one line item, that's the difference between where we need to be on this budget and where we are on this budget. In a nutshell, just that one item.
Well, the water rights came out of 2A. And this is the water fund. So there's 2A and there's the water fund. And we're talking about the water fund.
Right.
Right.
But the overall budget, so that would be the difference in where deficiency would be more or less.
Are you talking about the pie charts I showed early on? No, because the pie charts were only for general fund.
Okay, gotcha.
And this is water. So these are restricted monies that
Right,
cannot
right,
be
right,
used
right.
for anything else.
Right, okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify.
Yep.
that.
No, it's a great question. Okay.
Nope, just real quick, just going back to the very beginning, you saying that the budgeting is unsustainable because we're $4 million shortfall.
So it depends on where the revenues come in for 2024. We've conservatively projected for 2025, but nice fund balance at the end projected for 2024, and you used a portion of that fund balance for the 2025 budget. That fund balance is one-time money. And so really we need to stay, we want to meet your target. So I need a policy direction at some point on whether you want 15 or 20% or whatever the council would like. You can go higher. I need to be able to meet that, but also be able to live within our means, which means we shouldn't be using fund balance to balance an ongoing operating budget.
The budget has to be balanced.
Yes.
Being in the hole is not acceptable.
No, it's
So somewhere are those cuts identified?
right. So those were the 4 positions that are being held,
That's it.
that are budgeted, and that's all I've been able to do so far. We think that revenues will come in a little higher. That'll add to the fund balance as well. So I'm fairly confident that early in 2025, you're going to have that 15% fund balance, which is why I want to come back to you mid-year and not wait till November so that it's very transparent and you understand where we are.
Is it too soon to request that you come back with something in March instead of May? Or will it matter at that point? I guess I just don't want to be blindsided. We're
You
like, "Ta-da."
just got her answer by her.
No,
She's like, "Yeah, maybe not.
no, if that's council's desire, I can certainly attempt to do that. We have quite a few projects that we need to start to work on. The capital improvement project budget is really important. It has a direct impact on the impact fee study that we're going to be doing. And quite frankly, we don't really have a capital projects budget, which is going to impede the ability of the fee study to be really effective. And so if that's your druthers, that's where we can place our beginning energy on. I'll be working with the team next week on our priorities for the year and who's working on what. And if that's what you'd like, I think we can bring something back.
I think May's fine.
I would go with May only because again, as an advisor in tax season, I will have no bandwidth for this in March and April, but that doesn't speak for the rest of the board. That's just me.
No, I think May's
May,
fine.
yeah,
That's reasonable.
but I think in May, we need to be aggressive about it or start working toward it so that we're all on the same page.
Because if we're doing this in May, we're really looking at sales tax revenue through April only or March.
Well, no, because we're multiple months behind.
Okay.
So March doesn't really even give us a chance to be fully done with 2024.
So May gives us at least 3 months-ish.
Yes. And if we can get through our RFP process, so the RFP for the new auditor is already on the street, we can get them on board. We potentially could also have audited financials by May, and we could mirror those up.
Hold off. Bring it up.
Okay, so the capital program, so I call it a CIP. So you'll notice in my written document, it went from CPP to CCP because I kept putting CIP. So when I come to you with a capital projects budget, it's going to be a CIP program. The town is required by charter to have a multi-year capital projects plan. What I did was I basically took and we tied the 25 capital expenditures, which is another thing that we'll need to look at for the ones that are being funded through the general fund. Those tie. And then I basically extrapolated out 26 through 29 and really only put in things that were sort of ongoing, like for streets. And there is the public works facilities in there as well, split between the water fund and the general fund. We really need to take a look at that. And your strategic planning will be key to help us understand what your priorities are going to be. And a capital projects, good capital projects budgets would also have operating costs included because governments are notorious for building and then forgetting that they have to take care of their buildings. So those are all things that we would want to include in there as well.
That we build?
Yes. So again, be happy to answer any questions. This is also a public hearing for this item. You have two resolutions like you did for 24. One is for the budget, a public hearing, and the second is to appropriate the funds. I did hand out a new resolution for 58/24/2024. We had a typographical error transposing the numbers onto the resolution, so I apologize for that. That's been corrected. And then in 59, we also found a small $1,000 error, and I've handed out hard copies to everyone, and the clerk has new copies as well. So those just need to be mentioned in the motion, and I apologize again for the errors.
All right, well, I do have a question. It's sort of tied to budget. And perhaps our staff knows, when are we implementing, because we are now in December, when are we supposed to have implemented self-collection and that whole process? There was a lot of discussion and then the drama, and then we sort of not heard anything. So the reason why I bring it up is because if you go to the state's sales tax collection app, one of our newest businesses that does quite a bit of business does not show they're paying monument tax when you go there. It's the Quick Trip or Pilot. Quick Trip has it listed as 3.5%, but the Pilot doesn't, which means we will probably see a boost. But these big businesses, I know that there was auditing built into
Mhm.
And I don't know where we are with the well, we don't know.
We-
Where are we with the communication to the businesses that we are moving to self-collection? I'm sure that got thrown at you as soon as you walked in the door.
Yes.
But pilot is big.
Mhm.
They should be paying, they should have 3.5 as part of their tax on top of their PIF, on top of the RTA. Oh, no, they weren't part of the RTA because
No, they're not.
they were annexed in to the town before. But yeah, so
But when this goes through the state, you can see there's no way to really know. So
So we are meeting bi-weekly, every week with the consultant. I've met with her. We do have we're working on that plan. So part of my to-do list is the communications to the businesses so that we can make sure that they understand. We've been talking about those things. Implementation date is January 1.
so they've gotten letters,
Uh,
they've gotten instructions on how to report or remit their taxes to the town.
we're working. We're working on it. So they will get that on January 1. The town website has been updated. And so, yes, we will communicate with our businesses.
Okay, I think we need to figure out how long Pilot has not been paying their sales tax.
That'll be part
Well,
of the
if
audit.
they
They've
have.
identified.
Well, I mean, the state doesn't show that they have it on their app. Okay,
The consultant has already identified a couple of businesses. And so, yes, that's a big part of the project is doing those audits.
okay. Let's get back down to the business of the resolution, the public hearing. Unless there's any other questions before I do that.
no, I mean, obviously we got to figure out a way to cut someplace.
Well, we're not approving this $50 million
No.
4-year plan.
No.
So that's a,
That's just a plan. So 2025 mirrors up. You're approving that as part of the 2025 budget, but it's also in this capital plan. 26 through 29 are just extrapolated out and you are not approving those expenditures.
so that's 16 million. We are approving that.
That's, yes, part of your budget. Yes.
Okay.
And that's
so-
from all funds.
Right. By approving the 16 million, are we putting ourselves in the hole or are we balanced?
We're still balanced. What we are presenting to you tonight is a balanced budget.
And then, as in the last amended budget, after the public hearing in D, E and F are going to be just votes following that, relating the same thing. Okay.
Correct. If there is the final resolution is on the mill levy. And so we provided information. I have a slide, but you can just motor along and you do the mill levy every year. It's capped at the 5.0%. So you can do all three.
Okay. All right. So we will open up the 2025 budget to the public. Is there anybody here who would like to speak for or against the resolution? Nope. Anybody online, Will?
I see no one online, Mayor.
Okay, then I'll bring it back to the council for further discussion or motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 57-2024 resolution.
58.
I'm sorry, 58-2024, resolution adopting a budget for the purpose set forth for the town of Monument, Colorado, beginning on the first day of January 2025 and ending on the last day of December 2025, as modified in the packet.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimpel.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Any discussion on resolution 59, 2024?
No. I'll make a motion to approve resolution 59, 2024, a resolution appropriating sums of money to the various funds in the amounts set forth below for the town of Monument, Colorado, beginning on the first day of January 2025, ending on the last day of December 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. Resolution 60-2024 looks like our mill levy is staying the same. Any conversation about that? No? I will for a motion.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 60-2024, resolution to authorize the certification of the property tax mill levy to the El Paso County Assessor for the budget year 2025, beginning on the first day of January 2025 and ending on the last day of December 2020.
Second.
Sorry, what was that?
2025. It says 2024, but it should be 2025.
Oh,
Yes, yes, corrected.
right. But they corrected it just,
Is it corrected on the resolution?
Yes, on the actual one.
As corrected.
Not on the budget. I mean, not on the agenda.
Okay.
Budget brief.
we have a motion and a lot of discussion about the second.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanello,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Yes.
That motion passes 7-0. The thank yous are not enough, right? What you guys endured and what you've persevered through in getting this done. Thank you.
Recognized.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, next up is a discussion item. We are going to draft an ordinance to regulate the time, place, and manner of where you can do mushrooms.
Yeah.
Consume-
How and when?
Not for you guys. Not for you guys. So there's a ordinance that was attached, right? There's been quite a bit of discussion about this. Colorado Springs went through theirs. They made the news with theirs. And I think one of the big things that we need to discuss is this is a land use decision, right?
It's largely a consideration of where you want these facilities to go. You don't have the ability to prohibit them. You have the ability to regulate time, place, and manner.
So we can limit them circumference around schools, or can we just zone them into industrial areas only? Do we have to allow them in residential?
You do not have to allow them in residential, but the default is in terms of separation from existing facilities is 1,000 feet from schools, daycare centers, places like that. But you can alter that. You could make it greater. You could make it less. Your current provisions, which we've mirrored in the draft ordinance on the provisions on your medical marijuana facilities.
What medical marijuana facilities? We don't allow them. We have an
Yeah.
ordinance for medical marijuana facilities?
You do.
I thought we don't allow medical marijuana.
You don't allow other marijuana facilities, but you allow medical marijuana dispensaries.
And yet nobody's doing it. Oh,
Evidently not.
there's our $6 million. Right, there we go.
So those regulations prohibit those facilities. They restrict them to the commercial center zoning, and they prohibit them 1,000 feet from those facilities like schools, daycares, et cetera. And also 1,000 feet from a residence. So in your packet, there was a map that shows how that restriction is applied. We've drafted this draft mushroom ordinance, if that's what you wish to call it.
Shrooms.
The proponents called it the natural medicine
But if you want to mirror that, and that's how we've drafted the ordinance, you can see in that map the areas that would be available. Now, unlike what you've currently allowed in terms of you have provisions which allow medical marijuana dispensaries, but you don't allow grow facilities for marijuana. You don't allow manufacturing. You don't allow testing. On the natural medicine side, you cannot prohibit those facilities. So they could potentially go into these areas on that map in red if you choose to mirror what has been done with the medical marijuana dispensaries.
So the ones that are in red are where the marijuana can be distributed. And that's where we aligned our mushroom to be the same, but they would be able to grow, whereas marijuana can't.
That's correct.
Well, I mean, it's definitely out of the residential areas with the exception of this one spot along 105. That's really close to residential.
And
I didn't say that.
maybe Dan could talk to whether all the areas within the red or have that 1,000 feet of separation still have to play. Know the answer to that.
So this is a draft map. It was created during Thanksgiving week. Probably needs some refinement, but really trying to indicate it's limiting the location of potential stores. So, I mean, if council wants to lighten it up to allow for more, we can change the buffers and change the restrictions. But you can't really tighten it up much more without restricting it completely out of the community, which we can't do.
So the 1,000 feet would be not from the center. It would be from the closest point of a school, right?
I would have to go back to Connie and talk to her, see how exactly she can go up through those buffers. And I can come back and let you know that. But again, this was a draft map.
Sure. But I mean, just in general, it would be from the closest point of a school to any of these facilities, not from the center of the school.
No, it's
Yeah.
usually from the property line.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
When we draw buffers on maps,
Okay.
the property line itself.
So some of these areas have commercial already in them. So you've got what appears to be the King Soopers shopping area as a red area.
But it's orange,
It's
so
orange.
it looks like it's within the,
If you blow that map up, you'll see them.
Oh, yeah, it's slightly different colors.
Oh, so
Yeah.
what's the orange indicate?
or orange indicates that it's commercial, but it's inside the buffer, the residential and school buffer.
Okay.
It's just
And
those
so-
little red spots,
Yeah,
which there's
so-
only a few.
A good example is if you go to,
4.3,
All the way up north.
4.
yeah, there's,
So the one next to the proposed gas station seems like a logical place to put mushroom facility.
You're talking about it by county line.
Yeah.
yes,
And the one south of the lake that's not, it's a very odd commercial zone,
Right.
but
Can you get there? You have
it's
to hike?
difficult to
You
get
have to
to.
hike
Yeah.
to get to the
It's
commercial
probably
zone?
never going to be commercial. I don't know why it's zoned commercial. It's really residential.
and this is, I'm not being facetious or sarcastic, but as depicted, they could theoretically have a floating on this depicted. If we want to nitpick, they could have a floating thing in Monument Lake. Is there a way that we can just cover all of Monument Lake just to?
They can't put anything in Monument Lake. You can't even swim in Monument Lake.
Okay,
Besides, it's town property.
It's town property.
okay.
The fish would eat the mushrooms.
Can we limit, is it
I don't believe so, the way it's written.
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
And
This is pretty restrictive right now.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to the way this is laid out.
I'm very happy with this map.
Uh, and on that question, how you measure the distance, that's covered in 1804-510 subsection C. Distances are computed by direct measurement from the nearest property line of the land use for the school or the facility to the nearest portion of the building in which the natural medicine business is located, using a route of direct pedestrian access. And that's somewhat consistent with how distances are measured under the liquor code, also used in the marijuana code.
So I do have a question about licensing. Do they have to register with the town as a business and be licensed and pay a licensing fee? Is that, I don't recall seeing that.
They would be, they're a business, so they'd have to be, licensed under your business license ordinance. You don't license them like a liquor license or a marijuana facility. That's done at the state level only.
Okay. All right, well, any other further discussion? Are you guys good with having this as drafted, turn into an ordinance at the next meeting? Presented as an ordinance?
I do have another question for council to focus on. If you look at 1804-515, hours of operation, we need some direction there. Do you want it?
7 a.m. to 7:15 a.m.
That might be seen as a prohibition, but I mean,
Yeah.
Very much at 9 to 5 type.
Monday through Friday.
Yep.
That's the way we've drafted it.
I would say 9 to
Close.
3 because it gets dark at 5 in the winter. So if we do 9 to 3, seriously,
So you think they're gonna leave and the darkness is gonna be worse for them?
I don't want it at dark. I don't want something at dark points. No?
I don't mind
All right.
9 to 5, the standard.
Business hours.
All right. Fair enough.
They may go swimming.
Somewhat.
Well, and
9 to 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Is what,
this is how we'll draft it. And if you choose when you consider it to go some other direction, you could always adopt it with amendments. Okay. Let me just, if I could real quick, I want to make sure I've covered all my points I want to make sure we get input on. I think I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to public comment. Oh, did you have a comment about the mushrooms? All right, we're going to move on to public comment. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here in town hall? Wow, look at the hands go up. Did you want to say something first? Did you have a comment you wanted to make about something not on the agenda?
Yeah.
Come on down.
This is gonna be quick.
You still have to come down and
Broncos, yep, they're doing good. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Michael Spencer. I just want to let you know, we appreciate you guys letting us be here tonight. I think this is kind of our time that we were going to skedaddle, but it's been awesome. It's been an awesome year. Being able to see you guys all at our parks and the brand new park that we put in and all the work we've been doing and all the work you guys have been letting us do this past year. It's been awesome. And I just want to thank you guys for all that you guys do. And I think that's about it for us here. So I know you guys may have expected me to come up from last year. So oopsies. But yeah, I think we're all set. So I just want to say thank you so much.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Cool.
Good evening, Terry Hayes with the Dry Lakes Chamber. Just want to talk about Christmas is coming up. So this Saturday is Smelltown Christmas, And of course, you guys all know about the tree lighting that's happening at 5, but there's also a whole day full of activity starting at 5 o'clock with the downtown businesses. And then also on that same day is the North Pole Craft Fair at Grace Best. So we just want to encourage everybody to come out and spend the whole day in downtown Monument. The weekend could be considered to start on Friday, because on Friday is a Christmas market at Trails End on their property there. And they're going to be open starting from 5 to 8. They're going to have music, food trucks, and other like fire things that this is something they've done before in the past, but it's a great way to start the weekend. And then also the downtown businesses are going to be hosting a Sunday with on December 15th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., which leads me to mention all downtown businesses from now until Christmas are open on Sundays also to make it more convenient for people that maybe have to do errands on Saturday. This way they can do some Christmas shopping on Sunday. And the last thing is to remind you that on our third Thursday of the month, which is our business after hours, our Christmas extravaganza, we like to call it, at Community Banks from 5 to 8. And we just would like to invite you all to join us there. Thank you.
How did the small business Saturday?
The couple of businesses that I talked to, it went really well. We will have our we'll have our monthly meeting on Wednesday morning, and that's really where we'll find out how good it was. But I did hear the bookstore kick butt that day. So that part I did. I did go in and talk to them.
You stopped
Yeah.
there too? Yeah.
Yeah, so I know they did very well. I know that the parking lot at Monument Mercantile was packed the whole time, which when people don't come down and go to just one place, they'll go to several places. So if I see other places packed, that's a good indication they've traveled downtown. But we'll know for sure Wednesday, but I think it went pretty good. It looked like the day was pretty busy.
I think it's the 19th. It's at the bank. She said third Thursday, right? Yeah. So the 19th of December? That's a Tuesday.
That's the third Tuesday.
Okay. Be there or be square. It's fun. Good food. There's music. Who's dressing as Santa this year? Jim? Yeah.
Look at volunteers.
Marco. 5'4".
Oh, yeah.
Santa's much taller. Come on.
He's an elf.
I can do the elf. Yes, I'll do the elf.
I am the wrong persuasion to be Santa, so.
It's fine. I still love you.
Moving right along.
Haley, did you have something? Tuesday, the 17th.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Haley Chapin from Tri-Lakes Cares. Just wanted to say a quick thank you for your annual support of helping to stock our shelves for our holiday distribution. Went off without a hitch last week, and unfortunately, we saw a 25% increase above last year. That's a lot for us to kind of weather in 1 year worth of an increase. I will add to that, we are nowhere near experiencing a 25% increase in financial contributions to help us keep up with a 25% increase in clients utilizing our services. So I think it just goes to show just how important our services are needed in the community and how grateful we are for continued members in the community to step up to help us meet those needs. It's an unfortunate situation that we have so many people in our community that have need, but I am very grateful and blessed to be part of a team that is able to help meet those needs when people are at their darkest hour. So just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments for those that are here? Anybody online? Okay. We'll close public comment. Next up, future agenda items. We are going to set a date for our next strategic planning session. Madeline?
We actually haven't tallied everyone's. I just wanted to put this item on here in case we didn't hear back from everyone, but we have heard back from everyone. So we'll take a look at what the consensus is and report back to you guys on what date is chosen.
Nope. Any input, further input? Everybody's good? Guys have responded. All right. Any council comments?
How did oh, sorry.
So I am trying to get everybody or the majority of the council to help me out with doing a mock for the Civic Plus board portal. If we could do it maybe on the 16th before the meeting, maybe 30 minutes prior. I don't need all participation, but the more the merry. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Any council comments?
Yes. I was on the road coming back from Las Cruces on Saturday, so I missed out on the book signing. How did it go?
It was really great.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Thank you. We left late from Albuquerque, so couldn't make.
Well, and I believe that last count was 52.
Books. Do they have any books left?
Yes.
Good.
But you do want to wait
Okay.
because there was a problem with the printing.
Uh-oh.
And we had, fortunately, our publisher did the QC, worked with the printer, and we have more books than we originally had. So sell.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to go into executive session. Before we do that, though, we're going to take a quick recess while people are clearing out. Give everybody 7 minutes. Who wants to read us in?
Are we adjourning afterward?
Mr. Cole, do you see any reason why we would be coming back and giving direction to the council on any, or giving direction? I think there'd be one item, right?
I think it is possible.
Okay, so we will not be adjourning in executive session. We'll be coming back.
Do we need to read each one separately?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
3 separate motions.
All right. I'll do the first one. I'll make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 4B CRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice concerning the procedures for municipal annexation.
Second.
A motion is second. Ms. Erickson?
Councilmember Fiorito,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanella,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic.
Yes.
And that one's 7-0. Next one.
I'll make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub A and B CRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice concerning the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of real property related to Comcast I-25 land swap for Monument Hill tank site.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanella,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple, Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Aye.
And last, I'll make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B for the call town attorney to receive legal advice concerning town employment practices.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Romanella,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Aye.
All right, those motions pass 7-0. We will take 5-10 minutes and then we'll Okay, we are back from an executive session. We have no actions to take. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.